Welcome to Word of Mouth. I'm Myers. This is Steven. To my right, we have a new friend with us. What's your name?
My name is Tyler Gilbert.
Hey, Tyler.
Hello.
Welcome to Word of Mouth.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Let's kind of just dive straight in. So Tyler, if you can see behind us, is an artist. He has a particular fascination with vehicles, and he's doing this full time. And we kind of want to go back through. Let's just start at the beginning. Tyler, where were you born? Where'd you grow up?
I was born here in Birmingham.
Let's go.
At Montclair Hospital.
Come on.
First few years of my life, I was in Crestwood.
Nice.
And then we moved to Vestavia. I was there, I think, all the way up through 9th grade.
Okay.
And then we actually moved to Oak Mountain. And I went to Oak Mountain High School, which is right down the road from where we're at right now.
Nice.
So did that and got out, went on to college. Didn't know exactly what I wanted to study, but I'd always been interested in art in some fashion. So I kind of went down the design world path.
Yeah.
And eventually came back to town. And one of my professors had mentioned that a good career path starting out is the signage industry. So I started reaching out to a bunch of sign companies around town and got in with a group called General Dixie, I think it was.
Very southern name.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there was no mistaking. And I thought what I was getting into was like a summer job, essentially. Whether they knew that or not, I don't know. But after like a month or two of being there, the lead designer left, and they were kind of like, "Hey, you want to step up and stick around for a while?"
Yeah.
And so I was like, "Yeah, why not? I'll try it out." And then I did that for probably 3 years or so, and at that point decided to kind of step out on my own. I was still pretty young, but I started doing my own branding, marketing, graphic design, type work. Opened a small little office for a year or two. And then, 2007, 2008 came around. The economy started looking not so good. And so I started looking for, a steady paycheck.
Right.
And that's where I ended up at a company in West Homewood called Fravert, who is a custom architectural sign manufacturer.
Cool.
And yeah, did like 6 or 7 years there. Got married in betweenst.
What's your wife's name?
Danielle.
Shout out Danielle.
Yep. Danielle at that point was, she was in dental school at UAB, and she finished that and chose to go on to specialty. And that required us to look at, I don't know how many different schools across the U.S. because it's a crazy matching system that they have. But we ended up in Kansas City, which is a residency of 3.
Wow.
Yes.
That's crazy.
So great program. But we had to move, out there for about 3 years.
What'd you think of Kansas City as a tangent?
I loved Kansas City. Like the city itself, amazing. Absolutely amazing. Once you step outside of the city, it's 3 hours to pretty much anything of good interest. I probably didn't live there long enough to find like a lot of the little hidden gems that were closer, but yeah, I absolutely love the city. And I was lucky enough when I was there, I worked for an architecture firm. It was at the point that we moved up there, it was called 360 Architecture. Okay. Which is now part of the HOK brand that's, all over the world. But they specialized in like professional sports venues.
Wow.
And college sports and recreation venues and super cool stuff.
That's super cool.
Yes. So I got to work with some really, interesting people and interesting projects while I was out there. Worked on the Miami Dolphins stadium when they redid that a few years back. San Jose Earthquakes, worked for them.
That's a sweet stadium.
Yeah. And side story there.
Yeah, so that's super cool.
Do you know the owner? Or he may be selling it now.
Of the Earthquakes?
Yeah.
No.
I don't.
So, and I didn't either. until I went out to our San Francisco office to meet with them because we were planning wayfinding signage. That was kind of my specialty.
That's actually so cool.
Yeah, that's a whole other world we can get into. But I went out there for one meeting because I was doing 99% of the work from our Kansas City office. But we had a meeting out there with, the interested, owners group. And Mr. John Fisher was his name, was there. So we sat and we went through all this, and he was super nice, super interested in, like, the signs of the stadium. Even though he had an entire stadium to build, he was super interested in that. And, like, he, once we got done, because we were just at the point where we were starting to roll out concepts, he was like, hey, here's my cell phone number, and I gave him mine. He was like, I'd love to discuss this, as we get going, kind of keep an eye on it and see how things, develop, because I'm super interested in it. And then after that, somebody tells me, he's like, do you know his backstory? You know who he is? And I was like, no, I mean, other than
probably he's really rich.
Yeah, he was a part owner of the Athletics,
right.
The Oakland Athletics, I think, before that. So I was like, yeah, obviously he's doing okay. But somebody said, no, his parents started this little clothing company, and it's called The Gap.
Wow. No way.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I was like, after that, and I did, like, get calls from him every once in a while about the project, and I'm just like, I look at my phone, and I'm like, there's no way.
How is this person calling me?
It's calling me to talk about some signs in the stadium. But man, it was very interesting in that it really showed me how somebody that can be super successful can be so detail oriented and want to be involved and really check up on all the details. And he obviously very much cared about how that stadium got built.
That's also interesting. So like, this is so random. Whenever I was a kid, like, if you were to ask me what my dream job was whenever I was, like, in 5th grade, I would have said, like, either designing football helmets or designing stadiums. It was like what I did in my free time whenever I was in elementary school. I would draw them.
Yeah.
And but it is, and I'm also a soccer fan, and so I've always kind of had a fascination with that. But the San Jose Earthquake Stadium specifically is one of those cool stadiums that it does everything it needs to with, like, fan and like traffic control and all these, like, modern ideas with stadiums. But also I love that stadium because it's, like, specifically designed for that city. Like, it's like a very outdoorsy venue, and it doubles as a like a concert venue too, like super easy. It's like kind of a horseshoe from what I remember. With like it was like the first stadium that had like a bar as a legitimate seating area, I think.
They had a bar and a huge standing area, like, and that was at the time where that was starting to come around, where you didn't just have seats in the stadiums, you had the drink rail, and you could just stand and watch it next to a bar. Yeah. And I mean, huge shout out to HOK because they were designing and developing those things, a decade or 2 decades ago. I don't know. It's been a while.
I have to ask too about your time in Kansas City. Is the food, or the barbecue specifically, is it as good as people say it is?
Certain restaurants definitely are. So Oklahoma Joe's, which I think is now Kansas City Joe's because they changed the name, is the one to me that was amazing. Like, it's in an old gas station. That's, like, still a gas station.
Wow.
And you walk up there, and if you go there at lunch, like, there's a literal line wrapped around the building for people to go into what feels like a tiny little meet and three type place attached to a gas station and a little strip mall. But I mean, it was amazing.
Wow.
Like, it's the best. But there are other places that kind of promoted themselves as being like that, and they weren't bad, but I think they were just riding that wave of, like, hey, this is Kansas City barbecue.
Right.
And, it was good, but it wasn't anything like that.
Right.
From what I hear, the only thing that competes with that is the one in Austin, which I can't remember the name.
There's like 5 of them.
Yeah.
I've been to Terry Black's, and it's, like, literally so good. Yeah. But there's one, I think it's called, like, I can't remember what it's called, but I've never been. But, like, the one in Austin, like, you have to get in line at 6 a.m. They sell out, like, immediately.
Yeah, because they start cooking it 24 hours before, I think.
Yeah. Wow. And they open at, like, 11 a.m. So you pretty much, like, have to go eat, like, a 4,000 calorie meal at 11 a.m. in order to eat there, which does not sound appealing to me at all.
Worth it.
I'll go one day, I'm sure. But
Steven's wife is from Austin, so he has a plug to go to the stuff there.
That's
and to be honest with you, like, I'm really fascinated by the barbecue culture around America, or I guess, like, the South, because a lot of places claim to have amazing barbecue, and like Memphis is good and Birmingham is good, but I've heard that. I mean, I definitely have seen it pales in comparison to Texas, but I was curious if it actually pales in comparison to Kansas City too, because like Kansas City is known for brisket.
Yes.
Which I feel like is a cheat code to being amazing.
Yeah.
You know, here it's like pulled pork's like, I don't know. It's very like, I don't really care about it that much.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah, that was the thing. It was very specific. It was the brisket that was really good. Everything else was like, it's good. But there were certain things where I'd be like, I think I'd rather have Jim and Nick's version of this. You know,
right?
Yeah, it's just what I grew up with. But yeah, we do some things better here, and they do some better over there.
Yeah. What was going back to growing up a little bit first? Family, parents, siblings, like what was childhood kind of like?
So I am one of four. I have an older brother, 2 younger sisters. So we always had, friends in the house to play with. I think we.
When were you in Crestwood?
That was,
super early.
We moved out of there by the time I was like 4 or 5. So I never went to school.
Yeah.
While we were there.
I was curious because we both live over there.
Yeah.
Now, so I was just wondering what that was like.
9th Avenue, like right
by
the park. And
Oh, cool.
Trying to remember what used to be. Romeo's Sporting Goods used to be in there.
Yeah.
I didn't even know. I mean, I guess C6 are they still over there?
Yeah. Well, they moved, but
they've moved pretty much to the same building twice, and then now they've moved to like an official thing now.
Yeah.
Dang, you were in Crestwood like before it was cool.
Yeah.
I mean
that's so cool.
For that. So, but a lot of your childhood was like kind of more in your memory at the next stop.
Yeah. So we moved to Vestavia, kind of up on the hill. Like my grandfather had bought a piece of property. I don't know when, but he sold it to my dad for like $1.
Wow.
And my dad at that point owned a construction business, like building homes.
That was the other thing I was going to ask was what your parents did.
Yeah. So he at that point, it was like, well, we'll just buy this and go build our house.
Right.
Which was super cool. I mean, I didn't realize it at the time, but like looking back,
that's a crazy sweet deal.
That's pretty amazing that, you get like whatever it was, an acre and a half in Vestavia and go build your own house and, just enjoy it. But it was, we did live on a very steep hill. Yeah. Like taking the trash down the driveway to the road, I can remember it was a haul. Yeah. Like it was super steep. So it was so steep that our next door neighbors had like their driveway kind of connected to ours, but they wouldn't go up their driveway. Like they would just use our driveway. Yeah. To go up the hill rather than because they had like switchbacks. Yeah. Like, mountain road type driveway. But we loved it. I mean, we had tons of woods and things to run around and play in, and basketball in the driveway, and I kind of look at it compared to what my kids do nowadays, and I try and push them outside more. Yeah. We did play video games and everything back in the day, but I just feel like it's such an old man thing. But like back in my day, we were outside building forts in the woods and jumping off things that we probably shouldn't have been, and doing really dumb things. That was that's your childhood, right? Yeah. But no, it was great. We loved that area. Vestavia is amazing. But we ended up, my parents split up. My mom remarried, and my stepfather has a house, and at that point he was in Brook Highland, which was then zoned for Oak Mountain, because the first year that we moved and I went to school over here at Oak Mountain was like the first year it was built. Oh, wow. We were the first ones class to go in. Yeah. Which was interesting because I was a sophomore going in, and so freshmen and sophomores didn't get to choose. If you were zoned, I guess maybe it was freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. If you were zoned for the school, you were going. If you were a senior somewhere, I guess it would have been Pelham or Chelsea, you got to pick. Okay. Do you want to stay at the school you're at, or do you want to go to this new school? Well, not many seniors wanted to leave their school. So, like, our sports teams the first year or two were just terrible. I mean, we got beat up pretty bad. Yeah. As you can imagine. But the upside of it was, like, it's great school, wasn't overcrowded or anything, and has continued to be. an awesome school system, which my kids are now in.
Yeah,
so,
that's cool.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Were you what did you want to do when you grew up? Were you creative at that point, like doing art and doing things like that, or what were you thinking?
I was always, like, even as a little kid, I was always interested in drawing, which I think came from probably superheroes and comic books mostly. So I kind of tried to mimic that, and always had, that interest, and would do little things here. It wasn't super consistent though. Like, I wasn't always drawing. But then when I got into high school and I started realizing there were certain classes that I had interest in, and then other classes I was doodling, I was drawing, like, just the whole time. Like, a teacher standing up there lecturing, I'm gone.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I'm going to draw. So yeah, just started doing that, so much so that I think it caught, good and bad, caught the attention of some teachers and my parents, and eventually got called in to meet with the vice principal or somebody with my mom. And I thought I was going to be in a lot of trouble for, drawing when I should have been taking notes. But the conversation kind of turned to, like, well, if you have this skill, where does that potentially lead you? Like, how can you use this to your advantage? And I think that was the first time that the light bulb went off in my head, that I was like, well, maybe I could do something after high school that's related to this. And that just kind of spun into exploring, what is it I want to do? And I think that was early in probably my junior year or something like that. And at that point, I got really into designing my own cars, like drawing my own concept cars.
Yeah.
So I did that. I had, like, notebooks just full of different ideas and things. And I thought, I wanted to go down that road, try and, get to Detroit or Germany or somewhere and be a car designer. And I reached out to a designer named Phil Frank.
Okay.
Who designed the Saline S7.
Yeah. Okay.
And this
I was going
right
to say, I think I recognized his name, but I couldn't remember.
And it was right after it came out, and I was just...
This was like one of the first supercars ever made by an American, basically. It's like
amazing.
Nuts. It's all the, like, wedge shape that you could envision like a supercar should look like. It's really cool.
It is. So I just, on a whim, like, he had a website, had an email listed, and I was like, why not? I'll just reach out and say, hey, what you've done is amazing. Really appreciate it. Can you give me some pointers on how to get to where you're at?
Yeah.
And he responded, like, next day.
Wow.
Yeah. Which I kind of was, I wasn't thinking that would happen.
Right.
But he was like, yeah, just continue doing what you're doing. But what you need to do is also go take CAD classes. Because he was probably on a little bit more the forefront of, like, that car. I think the S7 was much more computer designed. So
because in history's past, it was like clay models and like wood models
Yeah.
of cars and stuff.
So I started to kind of approach it. I took some, like, community college CAD and, a couple other, like, technical drawing type classes. And I quickly realized, like, I don't know that I want to be doing this in particular.
Right.
Because it felt much more engineering mathematical than I had envisioned in my head.
Yeah.
Right. And it kind of started to turn me away from it. And then I started doing a little bit more research about, like, I thought, well, certainly there are, like, the designers over here and, like, the engineers over here. So I was looking at, like, the potential career paths within auto design. And eventually somebody just pointed out to me, and it was like, to get into that position where you are the car designer, it's much easier to get into the MBA.
Right.
There's, like, a handful of guys in the world that are doing that. And I was like, oh man, that's hard to hear.
Yeah.
The alternative is, like, you work your butt off and, you get to design, like, a glove box.
Right.
Which, looking back, I kind of regret not chasing that a little bit more, but, it worked out. I kind of pulled away from that aspect and just pushed more towards graphic design.
Yeah.
So, and then that led me back to, the signage industry.
Yeah. When did you meet your wife? How old were you were you out of school at that point?
I was, she had just graduated, high school and was starting her first semester at UAB.
Okay.
And we're 4 years apart. Like in high school, she was a freshman when I was a senior, but we didn't know each other.
Okay. Where did you go to college?
So I ended up at Shelton State, actually, in Tuscaloosa, even though I'm an Auburn fan and was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
My uncle, who we were talking about earlier, is doing our
construction stuff,
renovation and stuff right now, opened a store in Tuscaloosa, and he was like, hey, I need somebody that maybe can be there when I'm not and kind of keep an eye on things. So I was like, oh, that works out. It makes sense. We'll do that. So I did that for a few years, and then I came back thinking that I would probably go to UAB for some more school, and then I got that job at the sign shop, and they were like, hey, you want to stick around? And I did long enough that it just kind of stuck, and kept working my way up little by little, and just stayed in it.
Yeah.
And then once the point that we got to Kansas City and I became a project manager at a major architecture firm, I was like, I don't think I need to go back to school.
I think I've got the resume. I think I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
So how do you go from Kansas City back to Birmingham?
A little bit of luck for sure. So when my wife's residency program was kind of winding down, she started looking around, and this is probably all over the East Coast, at potential locations to either to go in and just work for a group and be their doctor or one of their doctors, but also looking for practices that were coming up for sale.
Yeah.
And just by sheer coincidence, Dr. Glenn Brawley over here on Highway 280, who had done my sister's braces.
Wow.
And had worked on Danielle's brothers, at the time, my boss, Mr. Favorite's kids, had done all their braces. Like, he was at the point where he was moving into retirement, and it just lucked up that, they got to talking and it worked out, and she took over his practice.
Yeah. Yeah. That's sick.
So, yeah.
So then what did you do when you got back here?
So when we moved back, I went back to Favorite.
Okay.
So, we did that pretty much immediately, and I think it was after like 2 years, became a partner over there.
Cool.
So did that for a few more years until we actually sold the company. Mr. Favorite decided to sell it and retire, at which point, any partners had at least a 2-year contract to stick around.
Yeah.
So I stayed, I think, 3.5 years, something like that. But it became more and more obvious the further I got down that line that it was not going in quite the direction that personally I wanted to be. Like, it's a great company, but I was really hoping that we'd push further and further into a creative realm, because we had actually started a side company, like a design firm, as a second company to that company called Formula Design. So I was running that show, as well as trying to keep the day-to-day design going. But new ownership came in and looked at it. I think they kind of had more perspective of, let's streamline everything on the manufacturing side, and then we'll explore this potential side thing with the design.
Yeah.
And at that point I was thinking, I don't know if that's really ever going to happen. The other side of it was, so we're talking about the office that my wife bought. A couple of years back, she had started a satellite office in Coleman. Mm-hmm. And it was like a 1 day every other week thing that eventually grew to like 1 day a week. And since then, like Coleman's growing crazy, crazy. And so it just started to take up more and more of her time and started really taking off. So she is, in the past, I guess, 2 years, she shut down 280 completely and is in Coleman. She's driving to Coleman like 4 days a week.
Wow.
Which is awesome. But the downside of that is, like, she's not around. She's not in town as much. So me coming to work here, having more flexible schedule, being able to help support, some of the things that need to happen in town while she's gone. Yeah. Just started to make more and more sense, as that stuff started unfolding. We're like, it's probably time to pull the trigger on this.
Yeah. So. Where do cars come in? Because you said designing cars, like some in school and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Were you just born with cars in your blood like I was?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely, to some degree. So my grandfather, my mother's dad, was a racer. He was racing in the SCCA back in the 60s, like the heyday. There's photos over here of him racing, like at like this one over here is at Cumberland, like racing with like George Barber and some of the guys back in the day.
That's crazy.
So yeah, absolutely. Like there's kind of an ingrained culture that came from him for sure. But I think it's kind of 3 or 4 different things really. Because I was so interested in superheroes as a kid, I think the vehicles that were tied in started to spark. So, I mean, the Batmobile, right? Ecto-1, Ghostbusters, like Knight Rider. Like, as a 6 to 8 year old kid, those fascinated me.
Right.
I was in love with those kind of vehicles. That was a big piece of it probably. And then I can remember one particular instance of seeing a car in person and just going, holy cow, like that is amazing.
What was it?
It was the original, and this is when they first came out, the original Dodge Viper.
Okay, yeah.
I saw a red one rolling down Highway 31, and I was just absolutely blown away.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, I need one of those.
Yeah.
I want that so bad.
Yeah.
And I still do.
Yeah.
Facebook
they're attainable. They're attainable.
They are, but they're and I would want the original, like no fluff, no traction control, which
no
also kind of
roof.
scares me. Yes,
yeah.
I mean back then they essentially was like the new Shelby Cobra, where it was just like this thing it's just a hot rod, race car.
Dodge took a V10 from a truck and put it into like a 2-door sports car with no roof on it. And it was like stupid, but it was really cool.
Yeah. And I didn't know until probably the past decade or so that like Carroll Shelby was involved in all that.
That's
like I thought it was almost built as some sort of a competitor, but no, it was like it's the next thing, which is all. It just makes it even more like I need that.
Right. Yeah, that's sick. Okay, so take us to Tyler Gilbert art.
Yes.
When did this start? Were you still working and like doing this on the side, or how do you start selling art?
Yes. So at first it was something I was doing on the side just for fun.
Was it always cars?
Pretty much.
Portraits and stuff like this?
Pretty much. I did, as I was getting going and just learning kind of, the painting techniques, I would do some landscapes and things like that just to kind of mimic things that I had seen done so that I could kind of get a feel of like, am I doing this right? So I have a few of those I probably burned and thrown away. A few of them are hanging in the house somewhere. I need to do some more, but we bought a 1973 Bronco a few years back, which my first vehicle was a 1976 orange Bronco.
Oh, that's sweet.
That's
what color is the new one?
The new one is dark green, like
nice.
almost black. And I'd wanted one for 20 years after selling the first one, like regretting selling that one. And so when we bought that, I was like, you know what? I kind of been thinking about painting. I was like, why don't I just do a Bronco painting just for fun and see how it turns out? And it, like, when I was done, I was like, yeah, this is, it's pretty good. Like, it's not the most amazing thing ever, but it's like, there's something here.
Yeah.
So then I was like, I'm just going to try a few more. And the next was a yellow 911. As I got into it, I was like, yeah, this is good. And I was learning some more techniques as I got into it. Like the first one was real loose, and the next one I was like, I'm going to try and get detail. I'm going to try and make this sucker look like a photo. Yeah. And I almost got there.
Yeah.
But I could see that I was progressing. I was like, okay, I'm just going to keep doing this. I'm going to keep, knocking these out. And eventually they'll, at that point I was thinking maybe they'll end up in a man cave situation, right. If I have one. And then I decided to start posting some of it on Instagram, and it started to get a little traction here and there. And I was like, well, see where this can go. Yeah. So for a little while there was a time period where I was actively trying to promote it and sell it on the side while I was still working full time. But it wasn't too long. I mean, I really didn't even paint that, like the first one, which I think was the Bronco. That wasn't even 2 years ago, I don't think. So it's
a pretty quick progression.
Yeah. This happened very quickly.
Where do you get your inspiration from? Are you looking at photos or like?
Yeah, I mean, it's all over. I mean, things like, these old like Monaco race posters, like that's been a big draw for me my entire life, because I think the artist and graphic design, sides of me are like, that's perfect. Like that's such a sweet blend of both.
Yeah.
But beyond that, it's really just, enjoying the cars, like whether it's, how the car performs or how the car looks or the history of the car. I think that's a big draw as to why I'd want to do a piece.
Yeah.
And then, starting to get into like the commissions, helping to tell the story of, those individuals' vehicles, I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
To help kind of bring some, more interest to it, or help tell their story, or, what eventually may end up being like, for their kids, the story of your father, your granddad, whatever that may be.
Yeah.
I think part of that's probably in that my grandfather had such, cool history of racing, and we don't have a ton of stuff from it. We don't have a lot of photos. We don't have a lot of, keepsakes, at least not for the size family that I have, because I have quite a large, I think I have 27 cousins just on
Holy
that side.
cow.
So there's not enough to go around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's rad. So on the business side of that, like, are you going like fine artist route? Like, I'm going to make this and find somebody who will buy it? Or you said you're doing some commissions of some people's cars and things like that.
Yes.
Kind of what is the strategy, if you will?
Yeah. So, yes, it lately has been more commissions than my own work. But the commissions that I'm getting are like things that I love to do. So, hey, that's like perfect.
Yeah.
But in the long run, I do want to have a good mix of like my own art that I just create and put out there. Probably, sell originals as well as roll into doing more prints and things. I've done a few so far, but haven't really pushed the prints. But I would love to just continue to do more and bigger stuff. Like, some of these, these are 2 or 3 times the size of the canvas that I started at. I just love scaling it up and the feel, the impact that it can have when you get to like really big canvases. Like eventually I want to do canvases that wouldn't even fit like on that wall.
Yeah. I don't really want to have a big house, but I want to have a wall with like a giant painting one day. So I might need a big house just to fit that.
One of those paintings that has like the frame on it so big that like it looks like a bench, like you can sit on it.
Yeah. I think those are so cool. My favorite piece of art at the Birmingham Museum of Art is that painting of, is it Yosemite?
Yeah, tunnel view.
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, it's got to be 18 by 12 feet or maybe bigger. Like, it just takes up like this gigantic wall. It's so cool.
It's amazing. I look at those things and I'm like, God, that must have taken just so freaking long.
Yeah, yeah. And it's hard for me to even like comprehend. Like when we went to Budapest last year.
Oh, nice.
And we met an artist there, and he took us to his studio, and it was like a studio warehouse with like a bunch of other artists. And I'll put up, I don't know if I should show up. Can you show, here's a question. Can you show pictures of like an artist's art? Is that like inappropriate? What's the vibe?
Think, if it's in a sense that you're promoting them,
yeah,
I think that's fine.
Okay. Because I have a really cool film photo of that warehouse, and it was the biggest painting I've ever seen. I don't even know it was probably 30 feet wide, maybe 15 feet, 20 feet tall.
I genuinely don't know how they got the painting out of the warehouse.
Yeah, it was gigantic.
Like that's how large it was. Like not even like an industrial sized garage door. I don't know if it could fit through it.
And we walked through a normal doorway. So I was like, I don't know how this got in here or how it's leaving.
But like legitimately, it was probably like 20 feet tall and 30 feet wide. Like it was like the side of a house. Was the size of it. But it was crazy because the technique that the artist had to use was like almost they had to build scaffolding over the canvas, which I had never even like when you get to be a part of that sort of level, it has to be.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like I just feel like as an artist, I could see your draw towards that. It's because it just invites you into like a completely new side of technique.
Yeah, it's like it's another challenge. It's related to what you're doing, but it's like the next step forward. It's a bigger challenge. I absolutely understand.
Yeah, I mean, I just think like if you walked into if I went into the Birmingham Museum of Art and there was like a 20-foot by 30-foot, I mean, it could literally just be the tire of a car, and you would just stare at it because you think, how in the world did someone like paint Michelin the size of my face?
Yeah, I'm super interested in things like that. There was a famous designer who his name escapes me right now, that he said that if you can create things that are familiar but doing them in an unfamiliar way, like it will always be interesting to people.
Yeah.
So like what you're saying, just it's something but at a scale that's just crazy. People love it.
Yeah. I remember going into a exhibit one time and they had like a Sunoco fuel sign, but it was I don't know how to explain it, but it was like it was on to, you could see like the amount of price like the gas was, but it was like at a 45-ish degree angle and it was like in the floor of the studio. So it was like this insane like perspective, like you're saying, very familiar. You caught your eye, Sunoco logo, but it was like literally buried into like a wooden floor in an art exhibit, and it was like, who the heck thought of that?
Those types of things really interesting. Like I've always loved illusions and things like practical illusions and things like that, and I used to try and sneak those things into projects when we were designing signs and branded spaces and things like that, and you know, throw the concept out there, and it's like you quickly realize that other people don't have the same vision. They're like, yeah, that's interesting, but I don't think I want to be the guinea pig here.
Right.
Yeah,
you have more freedom, I think, when you're doing your own thing, because it's your own thing, obviously.
I think that's a big part of why I'm doing this is like I did the whole, you know, being a team member, running a team, you know, all that, and that's great. Like for anybody that can do it just to get the experience. I mean, it's invaluable, absolutely. But you know pretty quickly, you know, if you're built to do that for the long haul.
Right.
And, you know, I always thought I can do this, but it's not what I'm meant to be doing.
Right.
Like I'm much more of a self-sufficient person. I'd rather be 100% in control of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, luckily the case here.
Right. What did your wife think about the transition? What was that conversation like?
So I had to kind of plant that seed a long time ago and start kind of building it up. But you know, I'm very lucky in that in you know the time that it became obvious to me, she was on board like 100%. Was like, all right, if we're gonna do this, let's do it right. And you know, I'd say I'm super lucky that she's supporting it and is happy that, you know, I can kind of take it and run with my own thing and help her out some. I mean, honestly, you know, being able to spend a little bit more time taking care of the kids when she can't, or, you know, help around the house. I think so far it feels like a win-win.
Yeah. That's big.
I'm curious what your relationship with art was whenever you were doing client-based work at the sign company. I think that's something I always find fascinating about artists is, you know, you've got the skill set, you're the artist, right? And someone hits you up with like almost like a prompt for you to do. What was your relationship with art then? And then, I mean, kind of now, like you're the governor of what you get to practice now. Like what's your relationship with all of that? Yeah,
absolutely. I think the feeling when I was doing, you know, design work and exactly like you said, there's some sort of prompt or you're giving kind of objectives. That is more like problem solving, you know, design. And it always felt adjacent to the creative work that I wanted to do, but not right. It's not really hitting on it. You know, it's always kind of on the fringes of what I wanted to do. You know, some days were super rewarding where you're developing some highly conceptual stuff and you're like, yeah, this is awesome. And then like making that happen, like the build process and all the details that go with it after that, which is like 90% of the work, you're like, you know, I don't think I really want to do all this. I don't want to write out specifications for these materials. Like that's not why I became a designer. But yeah, it was. I think that was probably the thing that got me thinking about doing something like this way back when. Was like, it was always that feeling of like, this is good. This is relative to what I want to do, but it's not it. It's not quite there.
Yeah. Do you have like, I'm thinking about what's the dream, like that kind of thing. Do you have artists who you're like, I want to be like that one day? I feel like, and this is a slight tangent, but I'm wrestling a lot with the idea of like whether or not you it's a good thing to try and copy other people, and I don't think it's entirely bad, because you do need to kind of, if you're going to forge a path towards like a non-traditional career, for example, whatever, you do kind of need to take inspiration from and see what worked for other people. But I think as soon as you like bring your own personality into that, then all of a sudden it is a completely different thing, you know? Yeah. But do you have like someone who you know of, or like people you've seen in that space that you're kind of aiming at? Like, I would love to be that guy, but it's cars instead or something.
Yeah, I think there's probably not one person that I would say I really want to copy that. I would say the closest one, because he does do car art, is his name is Manu Campa. Okay. He's in Spain, I think. Okay. But he does some great, car art, and he's gotten to the point where, I'll say he kind of got into the social media game earlier and like really built a good following, and that's led to like working with Tag Heuer and Porsche and things like that, you know, and doing things for like major races. And I think it's maybe not so much like trying to copy how he did it, but looking at those as great objectives of like, okay, yeah, I want to work with a major brand at some point, do these kind of big collaborative pieces. I think it would be, extremely fun to get into that world. And for me, really, what I'm doing now is kind of on the outside, as an observer and reflecting things. But I would love to get actually like involved and like do race poster art or something where it literally is part of the event or part of a brand or something like that, so I can feel a little bit more connected.
Yeah, that'd be rad.
Yeah.
How are you involved much in car culture these days now? Like, do you go to races or, car shows, or what are you doing?
Yeah, definitely try to. So a little over a year ago, joined the Mob Inc. group here in town because they have a car show just right down the road. And that's been a phenomenal group to work with. I mean, they're just great people. Yeah. But, the events that they put on and the connections there and everything are amazing. So we've been heavily involved with them for the past year. And then locally, try to make like Magic City, Octane, try to make their shows when we can. A few other little events that pop up here and there. Beyond that, would definitely try and make every event I can out at Barber, because, anybody that sees this on video will probably tell that I kind of love that place.
It's unbelievable.
And really part of my mission, if you will, is to help promote that, because I genuinely feel that the Birmingham car culture scene is very much under the radar. Yeah. Like, we have an IndyCar race.
People don't know.
We have one of probably the greatest motorsports museum ever.
The largest motorcycle collection in the world.
It's freaking incredible. And the track and the facility around it is probably one of the best in the world. I mean, definitely the prettiest I've ever seen.
For anyone who doesn't understand, like, Barber Motorsport Park was a guy who loves cars and motorsports of all kinds, motorcycles, everything, loves racing. And he had the money to basically create his own playground. And he did. And he didn't just do it for himself. Like, he did it and opened it to the public. You can go and buy a ticket to the museum or a ticket to a race and go to, like, the equivalent of a Shoal Creek, like, country club kind of place, but it's a racetrack.
Yeah.
And
it's like art.
Yeah, like
track
there's
is art.
sculptures all over the place. The landscaping is beautiful.
Mm.
There's, at literally an IndyCar race you can go to. There are laps and things that you can do where you go, and the Porsche Experience Center's there. Like it's unbelievable.
Yeah, you start listing out all those things that we have here, like within 20 or 30-minute drive of here. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Like Porsche Driving School, maybe they've opened the second one now, but the only track experience that Porsche has in the U.S. is
I've
right
heard,
down the road.
I've heard. So there's Atlanta, there's L.A., and then there's Birmingham.
Mm-hmm.
And from people who I've talked to, I've heard that Birmingham is more busy than the others, which is nuts.
Birmingham is the track experience versus the other ones are just a driving experience where they have makeshift kind of like, they built some small tracks. Yeah. But it's not a driving school.
Right.
So like when you go and shout out to Danielle, because last year for my birthday she bought me the day at the Porsche school, which is just freaking amazing.
Yeah.
But when you go, like they walk you through the layers and the levels that you can do. You can legitimately get a racing license if you continue through the program.
Yeah.
Like they will give you, it's going to cost some money. It's going to take some time, but you can become an actual race car licensed driver through that program if you take it all the way. And some of the guys that were there instructing, amazing history. Yeah. Like one of the guys that it wasn't my instructor, but at the end they told us, "Hey, this guy's he's got to head out because he's driving in a NASCAR race tomorrow."
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Tell us about the Bronco. And I want to go see it after this because I want to get some photos and stuff.
Yes, absolutely. So, like I said, my first car was a 76 Bronco Sport that when I was 14, I think, started working up to save. I started bagging groceries and working at Bruno's, which I don't even know if you guys know.
I know of it because I know he's a car guy too, Bruno.
So Bruno's was kind of the local food, center shopping market. And so I worked at one for a couple of years, just started out bagging groceries and getting carts and eventually, being a cashier. And essentially the deal that my parents made with me was like, whatever car you want, like we'll pay for half of it. You got to raise the other half. So raised up, a few $1,000 working part-time. And found this orange Bronco that had like 8-inch lift on it, 8-inch lift with 33-inch tires, which is not enough
rowdy
tire. But super freaking cool. I loved it. Of course, your first car is always like something special, but then this, I was like, this is really really cool. And drove it for a year or so and realized it's really impractical.
Yeah.
It had one small gas tank in it that I was filling up at least every other day because it was getting 10 miles to the gallon or something like that. But nevertheless, super cool. So I ended up selling it, and then I think it was literally like 20 something years before I could look at this one. And of course, the market on that vehicle has
gone
expanded
crazy
and just it's crazy. But luckily found one on Marketplace from an older gentleman. He's a Porsche guy who just decided he wanted something he could take into the woods. But I wish I had a copy of this post that he put on Marketplace, but it was like the worst picture of the Bronco. Like it was in the garage, it was covered in dust and did not look like it was finished at all. And the description was like something like, we freshly rebuilt this one, and it's got fuel injection on it, something like that. And it was like, if you want to know the rest, just call me. Yeah, it was like, okay,
the most Facebook Marketplace post ever.
Yeah. And so I call him and I talk to him about like, what kind of conditions and like what was the process? Like, did you do some restoration work on it? I was like, oh yeah, we completely took it apart, like frame off.
Holy cow.
Restore, like not a show car, rebuild, but it's literally like I've got pictures of, everything taken down the frame and then blasted back down to the bare metal and painted and put back together. So it was like, okay, that sounds pretty nice, because the price was more reflective of what I was thinking it was going to be. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try and get over there like in a couple days.
Yeah.
And I went over and took a look at it, and I was like, man, I can't like walk away with it today because I don't have a trailer or anything. But like, you consider it sold. Like, I'll make you, handshake deal.
Yeah.
I'll come back in a week and get it. And luckily, he was very old school. He was like, you got a deal. And like 10 minutes later, as I'm, leaving in the car, I look at the Facebook post and it's already marked as like sold. And I was like, heck yeah. That was a good feeling.
Yeah. That's so sick.
Yeah. But I went back like a week later and rented like the U-Haul, platform.
Yep.
Which I've never pulled something like that before. I borrowed my dad's pickup truck and drove 4 hours there and 4 hours back. The most nerve-wracking 4 hours driving back that you can ever imagine.
Yeah.
Ooh. But it worked out. We got it here.
Yeah, I did that for the first time with my 4Runner. We went and picked up this Mercedes from Alabaster and then drove it back to Crestwood. So that was nothing like driving 4 hours or whatever, but it was scary. But and I learned my 4Runner can tow a whole car. I was a little scared of that. I didn't gas it too hard, but it worked. It was fine.
I have a few random like art technique questions. Mm-hmm. I'm curious, like when you start one of these paintings, how long does one take, and when do you know they're done?
Yeah, so it varies greatly. When you know it's done, that one is tough. I usually try and set myself a deadline and get done well before that. But yeah, sometimes it's just a feeling of like, okay, this one feels like it's right. And I think that's a big appeal to me in this process, is that it's not a A to B, like just do this and you're done. It's a exploration. Very much different from the design side of things.
Sure.
So yeah, sometimes things come together quickly, right? And you can get it done faster than what you were thinking. Other times you're like, okay, this is 95% done, but this last 5%, I feel like it's going to take another week or whatever. Just it varies. But generally, there's a lot of like fine tuning at the end, stepping way back, looking at it from different angles.
Sure. And
funny enough, like something I did learn from probably more so from the design industry is like look at it in every media type that you can. Like take photos of it, look at it on your phone, on a camera, like. You will notice little things in one area that you're like, that could be tightened up, or that color could be a little bit brighter or better or whatever, when you kind of look at it from every possible perspective. Yeah.
Huh. The other question I have is, I've always been curious about this. After you paint, do you clean your brushes? And if so, how? Yes. I have never learned how to successfully clean a brush and reuse it again. I end up, every single time I paint at my house, I just end up buying completely new brushes. I'm gonna be honest.
You and my wife would get along. No, I've had to learn a good bit. I mean, I use acrylic paints, so that's a little bit easier. You can't, like, if you are like just set down the paintbrush and you go run it under some hot water with some, light, soap, it'll clean it up pretty well. The problem therein becomes like over time they start to get frayed.
Yeah.
But I've found some really good stuff that's like it's like a stripper, but it also reshapes and like it's almost like a thin oil that recoats the bristles, and you can like reshape them back to what you want. And that was a really nice find because I did not want to continue throwing away money on the brushes.
Yeah. Another question I have is, I feel like even throughout like the rise of Amazon and the death therein of like every other local shop, I feel like every city you go in, like there is still like local art shops. Like in Birmingham alone, there's like several. And so I'm curious, like, do you have a go-to spot in Birmingham that you'd like to plug, or have you just found that online's like just the way to go?
Yeah, I think for me, because I have a very focused market, at least at this point, there's probably not one gallery that would be like, hey, that's the one for me. The closest I would say is like the Bohemian, the Grand Bohemian, because they're like the host hotel for everybody that goes to the Porsche school from out of school, or from out of town. So that one, would make some sense. They've got a couple pieces of car art in there, I think, right now.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind putting some in there, but I don't know that I'm going to get to the point where I can say, oh, all my stuff lives in this one place. I have started to, put paintings up in places that I feel like are relevant. So like when you guys did the Birmingham Brokers show, I think at that point I had a couple pieces up in their office, and I've got one in the Porsche dealership here in town. So I kind of like that aspect of it, of like just go put it up in a place where I know the people who would appreciate it are going to be.
Right.
So, but I've learned at this point in my life to never say never, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It could be that something pops up. I feel like Birmingham needs like a coffee shop that is the Cars and Coffee shop.
Yeah.
Because we ain't got one.
Yeah.
And in which case I would absolutely be on board for creating some art for that.
Yeah. That would be rad.
Yeah. I do want to get some in like Turbo Coffee and
yes, up in Florence.
Huntsville and Florence and Tuscaloosa.
Turbo, like is it like a car? Is that kind of the background of that cafe? I didn't know that.
I've
been to one before.
I don't know. I mean,
it didn't seem like when we were in Florence, I talked to the lady who I don't know if she manages or owns it, but it seemed like they were kind of related, but it wasn't like it's not themed.
Yeah, sure.
Like for cars,
it's kind of loosely.
Yeah,
it's definitely like a car term though. I've never really thought about that.
Yeah,
yeah. The
it's
guy
a great name.
The guy who started it originally, I forgot his name, but he like sort of started or co-started a spot in Birmingham that my buddy owns. So, but yeah, that guy started the Greasy Hands, the barbershop too, which is also a car term. Now I'm thinking about it.
Yeah,
but I've talked to him before.
Surely.
I don't think he's a car guy.
I don't know.
He's mostly just a New York guy.
See if he wants to open a coffee and car shop. Right?
Yeah,
right.
We'll work on that.
There's some stuff working on that right now.
We might be tapped into the culture a little bit. There might be something going on.
Yeah.
Did you have another question?
No, those were all my technique ones.
I was gonna do a 2-car garage.
Oh yes.
Are you familiar with Chris Harris and Friends car podcast, whatever
like
he calls
Harris
it?
From Top Gear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he has a podcast, and they do what they call a 2-car garage. It's a hypothetical situation. And every time I interview a car person, I think it's really fun to do that too, because obviously, for non-car people, I mean, it's a never-ending conversation between car guys what the ideal 2-car garage is. So you have 2 spots in your garage. You, for some reason, if you can afford nice cars, you can't have more than just 2. It's just a it's a thought exercise. My 2-car garage for you is, you are a 65-year-old man. You just retired. You sold your dental practice. You had 3 of them, so you took home a nice big paycheck. And you have plenty saved for retirement, and you're ready to splurge and get the fun 2-car garage. So you give yourself a budget of $400,000. But again, you only have room for 2 cars. What are your 2 cars you're going to spend the $400 on?
The clarifying thing that the last guest asked was, these are both for you?
Yes.
Or this is
wife is taken care of. Kids are graduated. Wife has whatever she wants. This is just for you.
Oh gosh. 400,000, and this is today's money.
Yes.
Okay. So, that is tough. If I'm going the practical route and need like at least one to be pretty dependable, I've got the Cayenne S right now.
Yeah.
And I would probably be like, I could upgrade that a little bit and do a turbo or GTS or something like that. And that's like a practical car that still can get up and go.
Yeah.
And pair that with like.
So that's like, if you did GTS, that's like maybe 130.
Yeah, or slightly used. You can get a GTS for like 50.
Okay. Okay.
I wouldn't mind going that route.
All right, let me.
So that I can get what I really
Right. Okay. Okay.
I guess I'm assuming you're about to go because you're leaving 300 or 250 grand. You're about to go Porsche again. I'm presuming, or no?
Well,
I
might be surprised.
My clarification is I think you can go maximum one Porsche in the garage just for sake of fun here.
I'm with you. Yeah. Because I do feel like, that it kind of checks that box, right? I mean, the Cayenne, it drives like a sports car.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's fantastic.
They're amazing.
Especially if you upgrade it to Turbo GT, whatever you said, that sounds like it'd be insane.
Turbo S.
Yeah, anything that freaking Turbo Coffee would name their company. Put that at the end of Porsche.
Now, beyond that, so if I've got, 3 left over, I would probably get the most badass GT40 replica that I could find.
Yeah.
Like just...
Oh, cool.
And I'm sure there are plenty out there that go way beyond that. But like I feel like for
you could get a pretty good
really
one
nice
for 300. Yeah.
There's actually one of our mob members has one for sale for a little less than that actually.
Yeah. It's a GT40 replica.
Yes.
Not just a GT.
No, it's a GT40.
That's sick.
He bought it and he's too tall for it.
Yeah. That's rad.
My first car was an Acura Integra, and I was
pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
I was too tall for it. That's why I got rid of it. It was a stick shift, and I couldn't let off the clutch without my knee hitting the steering wheel.
Yep.
And there wasn't enough room between the steering wheel and the door for my knee to go through.
Yeah.
So it was in 1989. It was literally it was I think my dad called it a spud scud. I mean, it was just like like that.
It's collectible now.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're cool now.
Everything technically is a collectible,
Sure.
Even like old freaking Toyota.
You can collect anything if you want to.
I saw Hilux on Facebook Marketplace in Birmingham the other
Yeah.
day. Speaking of random collectible Toyotas,
Yeah.
those are rare. Mars, what's your answer?
Am I limited to one Porsche?
Yes, and you can't use any car that's been set already.
Okay.
So sorry, Claire, not getting it. Well, I guess sorry. This is just for you, not for your wife.
Yeah. I'm gonna do a Mercedes E63 wagon, a 2018.
That's a G wagon.
No, it's a E-Class. It's like a sedan, but they turn it into a wagon, and it has a big V8.
So it's not a G wagon.
Not a G wagon.
Does it not look
surprise,
like a G-Wagon?
surprise. Nope.
That's
It's like a car.
That's
culture in
surprising
itself.
because that's like kind of a dream car of yours.
It
so
is.
This is like one of their just like SUV type.
No, it's a wagon. Do you know wagon?
You're talking about like a Grand Wagoneer?
No. Like
It's like a regular sedan car, but the back end, the roof just keeps going.
It's like a sedan,
like a
but a
hearse.
like a hearse.
Really? Like my brother's Golf?
Yeah.
Dude,
It's like your
that's a pretty cool
brother's
car.
old Jetta Golf, whatever it was,
Golf. Yeah.
but with like 500 horsepower.
I genuinely think
600
my brother's
horsepower.
Volkswagen Golf is one of the coolest cars
It was
I've
so
ever
cool.
driven in.
He had like a TDI, like
it was not like
2010. Like it wasn't anything crazy.
It was more like suave
fun.
than like
Yeah.
it wasn't like a super race car vibe. It was
Yeah.
like very like cozy. I don't know. The sound system was amazing in it too.
You catch me on a day where I want a wagon instead of a big box vehicle.
Okay.
It's 50-50.
How much is that? Like 100 grand?
100 grand.
Okay.
And then I would get into, if I have 300 left, I would get into a paint to sample GT3 Touring that Jerry Seinfeld owned. I would wait for.
If he owned it,
I
300 is not enough.
Yeah, that's fair. I was trying to remember because this is deep car lore, but Cabiglio Garage is like the guy who manages his collection, and every now and then he'll put something up on Bring a Trailer that everyone just kind of knows is one of Jerry's cars, and he put one up that was a paint to sample GT3 Touring, but it might have sold for 400.
Yeah. But what
I
a
can't
great
remember.
business idea if he's got a bunch of them that aren't Seinfeld's. And he's like, I'm just going to put this out there and let people
Well, yeah,
assume.
he legit does. And then sometimes he'll list them and they're Jerry's cars and they'll say it's Jerry Seinfeld's car, and sometimes they won't.
Yeah.
So you never know. So it really is like,
Did they say when was it, a year or two ago when they tried to auction off the 917 of his that it was his, or did people just figure it out?
I think that they did, but I don't remember
How much
because
do you think that raises the value since it's his? Like, say, like one of them was his, and one of them was like just some random rich guys, like $100,000 or like $1 million, or
it wouldn't be. It would be a percentage. I
that
mean,
one did not sell for $27 million.
Yeah, I think it didn't sell.
Yeah.
It depends. It definitely impacts the money he gets for it, but also like it's part that he's famous and part that like he's known as like one of the best, like takes the best care of his cars, knows the most, like he just has the best stuff.
Has his secret garages in
right.
New York.
So it's like a combination of like this car is one of 5 and super special, and Jerry Seinfeld owned it, and it's like
It's like
perfect
I mean, the
example.
car is amazing already, but when you can build on so much more history and prove it, like it just goes up and up and up. I mean,
it's hard to say, but like just a normal silver or black like GT3 Touring might be, I don't know, 200, 225, something like that, and then the Seinfeld car is gonna be double that because it's more special for a lot of reasons, and also because like he owned it. So,
all right, you ready for mine?
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta figure out what they're called.
It's fun doing it with Steven because he has to he's going for vibe, purely for vibe.
All right. So to start, I'm going pristinely kept. So I'd go this would probably cost $70,000.
Okay.
Pristinely kept brown F100.
Yep.
With a amazing sound system that they've put into it.
Yeah.
So I'd probably say that, and by pristinely kept I mean the leather is original. It's not like they re-leathered it. Like the leather is original on the inside, and all the knobs and everything are all like whatever it's called, stock.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be my first one. I got that's probably $50,000 to $70,000, and then a 1984 Porsche Carrera. I don't know how to pronounce that word. Cabriolet.
Yep, Cabriolet.
I'm guessing that car is going to be around $300,000.
You could get a $300,000 version.
Yeah, I would get that.
Yeah.
Either that in red.
It would
or
be
black.
It would be the perfect one if you got it for that money.
But if you just wanted something that looked and felt like that, you could spend a lot less.
Yeah.
Red. Are you serious? That right there. I'm just thinking like that, taking it down to the beach, driving around in that, or it's a Saturday afternoon, we're driving and we do me and Gracie, we go to Mountain Brook and we get matcha lemonades at Starbucks, and we'll just drive Jameson, and we'll just drive back through the Mountain Brook neighborhoods. Yeah. Because that's the closest place you can get to from Crestwood. Yeah. And not feel like you live in Crestwood anymore, Yeah.
I guess it was a little out of character for me to not pick something old.
Yeah, that's
probably
fair.
should have picked something old.
A new one would be cool too.
Yeah.
But I don't know,
does anybody ever throw motorcycles in?
No.
No,
you can
really.
If you want.
I mean,
so you might have enough left. I made a joke earlier. I was like, you can get a moped too, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's a 2-car garage, but I can squeeze a motorcycle in between.
One in.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do like a Thruxton or something, just something fun to kick around on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It'd be so cool to get one of those BMW old ones that are almost like little dirt bikes. I don't know what they're called, but I think that'd be so fun.
I'd get a rack on the back of the GT40 that I could put the motorcycle on.
There you go.
Especially living in Crestwood, we could definitely beat bop around
town
a little bit with those.
Yeah.
Especially if it wasn't raining, Gracie would actually let me drive it.
Yeah. That would be sick.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, I love that bit, or I love that segment of
It's super fun. We've tried to figure out a good way to make a 2-car garage, but for other topics, and it's kind of hit or miss. We tried to do golf one time, and it was make your Frankenstein course, and it's front 9 from this course, back 9 from this other course, but there's not really anything that quite hits the 2-car garage. We haven't found it yet. Yeah, we're looking for it.
You can pull a lot of personality out of somebody and find out a lot.
Definitely.
Because I thought about it. There's a lot of cars that are close.
So, I mean, $400,000 is you can kind of get anything.
And, I kind of knew that question was coming in some form from watching you guys. Yeah. But that led me to get on Facebook Marketplace and look around. And now, thanks to y'all, I'm itching for somebody's got a replica 550 in Tennessee right now, a black one, Beck. It's gorgeous. And it's, for for a toy, it's expensive, but for what it is, it's really not anything crazy.
Sure.
This is a vintage Porsche, like.
Yeah, it's that car right there. And
that
car right
yeah.
there. But in like the beautiful gloss black red interior, just unbelievable.
It's crazy that before we leave this earth, like a 1970s and 80s model Porsche will be like that level. I mean, that will just be like a whole new level.
Yeah.
But I think that's the most fascinating part about vintage as a concept now, because like everything vintage is like so much more expensive, like in every realm of everything now. But like one day a 1975 Porsche will be like I'm thinking like your kids are going to be in like absolutely insane.
Like pre-war era cars are to us.
They're going to be like, that should be in a museum.
Right.
Like, why is it on the road?
How do you even drive that? Why does it have 3 pedals?
Dude, it's
Where's
crazy.
Where's the battery that drives it?
Yeah.
I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent here, because we're 70 minutes in. We only have real fans left listening right now. But I am watching a documentary on the Nuremberg trials.
Oh wow.
And Volks.
Take us there.
Volks, Volks is a German word that clarifies the non-Jewish blood. Like there's no Jewish blood in you, and you are German. That's what Volks means.
That's crazy.
So
Hopefully
Volks
that's not where the wheel
or wagon,
company got.
like Volkswagen literally means, it's like an anti-Semitic term.
It's like the people's car, but only certain people.
But
yeah,
like
I knew it meant people's car, but I didn't know. I didn't know what people it was referring to.
Yeah, they used it like all the time. Like there was like the People's Journal was like the Volkswagen or something like that. But it was like the newspaper that had all the anti-Semitic like
Propaganda
comics and
stuff.
jokes.
Yeah,
it's so fascinating watching that documentary, because they were even saying, because the 1936 Olympics were in Berlin. It's when Jesse Owens won, and like they were talking about how mad not only the Germans were, but the Americans were, that a black man succeeded so much at it.
Yeah.
And they were just talking about how just in general racism was so common across Earth at that point still.
Yeah, those Olympics almost didn't happen because they weren't going to invite any
African American. Oh, well, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I think that like the German like athletes all had to be Aryan. So when you look at the athletes that competed, they were all like blonde hair, like athletic.
I think that was
dudes.
Strategic. And they thought they were going to prove something, and
They did not.
the Americans were like, nope, sorry.
Yeah, the Wisconsin basketball team is the only team that's close to doing anything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that it's insane that that Volkswagen is still using that same exact term. Anyways, I was thinking about German cars. We were talking about Porsche and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good testament to like how we can get over certain things, even if
Redeem
terrible
something.
things, but collectively move past it, which is, I don't want to go into a political war right now, but we all need to do that.
Yeah.
We're 73 minutes in, man. We can go. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is
And now
cool.
we're going to go to Tyler's
And
hot takes.
I learned. Okay, so from my understanding, Porsche was like born kind of at the same Bauhaus movement time in Germany.
Right.
And it happened in the Middle War time. I didn't know that either. I thought the Bauhaus happened during World War II.
Yeah.
But it happened after World War I, pre-World War II, when it wasn't when like Hitler was chancellor yet, but it was whenever his like sort of like free thinking ideology that led to a more socialized government that he was like definitely the proponent of. But Bauhaus was kind of like this weird, beautiful thing that came out of it. Like, and then also these beautifully designed vehicles, like the original ones, were kind of out of this like free thinking, or not necessarily free thinking. That's not the right word, but like it kind of, because the economy failed so bad after World War I, they were like, we need to think in a new way.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like what gave birth to it all. So it is like, I don't know, there is like a, I don't know, it is like a cool thing to consider when you try to like give credit in some way to it.
And funny enough, to bring it back to paintings,
Yeah, come on.
intentionally, but that's something that I've really learned with this stuff is like, sometimes you have to fail. Like sometimes you have to paint a terrible painting
Sure.
to get to the good one. Like you got to figure out what not to do.
Yeah.
Right. And that leads you, but I don't know. I feel like we kind of come from a culture of like, you need to get it right the first time and
Sure.
be efficient and all that. And sometimes that's not the best way.
Yeah.
Sometimes the
art.
result, it's kind of the tortoise versus the hare situation where it's like the end result actually better by, learning something on the front end and improving on it.
Yeah, you said it so well earlier. I can't remember exactly what the context where we were in the conversation, but you were like, it's not about the result, it's about the exploration.
Yeah.
I think that's so true. And I think that's really cool. We kind of talked about this before we started, but one of the things that we love celebrating so much with this podcast is people actually, getting off the porch and like doing it, And you had a really safe and steady, and you're successful in your previous position, but I really do admire like the fact that you're doing it and you're exploring. So I think it's really, really awesome. And it's been super cool to talk about, man.
Yeah, likewise.
It's been a lot of fun having you on. And man, I wish you the best with all your paintings. I hope that one day whenever I go to Barber, there's going to be tons of these all over the walls. And
too.
One day whenever I go in the Porsche lot, whenever I've won the lottery, I'll buy a painting when I'm in there too. So.
Yeah. Thanks for
doing
doing
the lottery and go get like a GT3 or something. I'll give you a painting of it. But you got to let me drive it a few times.
Yeah. Handshake deal. All right. Well, thanks,
Awesome,
Tyler.
man.
Yeah.
Thanks so
Dude,
much.
this
guys.
is awesome.
Yeah, enjoyed it.
Cheers. Thanks for listening, everybody.
As they say in the furniture business, cheers.